Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It's been a hot minute, but I'm going to do my best this summer to endeavor to be more consistent. I think I say that every year, and I'm pretty good during the summertime, but this summer, as you know, I'm studying till the end of the year. So it's a long process, but I have so much I'd like to get out and so many things I want to reply to. So let's just jump into it. As you know, you can find me. I'm not so much on TikTok these days because I'm a smaller creator, I don't want to be negative, but a lot of people steal so I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to be more on YouTube and I'm easy to access through Instagram. Okay. So we can just keep it moving. If anything changes, I'll let you know. All right. So today's question is actually very interesting and I love the way that it's worded. It actually made me laugh. It says, Guru Grit. Can you make a video in manifesting something from a movie or animated TV, like, say, science fiction gadgets, please? I ask other YouTubers, but they won't answer, so now I come to you. Honored. Thank you so much. I love the way that it's phrased. So the question effectively is, how do you manifest, for example, he said, a science fiction gadget that you are inspired by or you found through media? So I really like the question because it involves science fiction. When I was a teenager, I don't even know how I found it. Maybe I was a teenager in my early 20s. I think it was like a book cart. I bought it for $1. But anything science fiction, I would recommend the works of Isaac Asimov. I just found them really interesting. Reading about Nikola Tesla, of course. And the most important takeaway from all of this is actually fiction isn't real. There is no fiction, not in the way that you would think. Neville Goddard talks about this a lot in his lectures, and there's one example specifically that he uses because he has the names, the dates, everything. A high school girl wrote a short story essay about a ship called the Unsinkable that ended up sinking and killing a bunch of people off the coast. I think it's off the coast of North America. So I think the Titanic is close to Canada here, close to Nova Scotia, I think. And it actually went on to happen. So he said there's no such thing as fiction. And Abraham Hicks says every thought that has ever been thought exists, still exists. So it's recorded in the ether, which is what we would call the Akashic Records or God's Book of Life. But every thought that you think, and you've thought billions of them in your lifespan, they do not go unnoticed. Therefore, if you see something in media and you think, oh, I saw it in a movie, and it's probably fake, it's not. It exists somewhere, and therefore it's accessible to you and possible for you to experience whatever that thing is. So, the important thing when we consider experiences and manifesting experiences or demonstrations is to break the barrier of impossibility and that something has to look a certain way. Case in point, somebody wants to marry that specific person and they list and pray ceaselessly for a happy, loving, intimate relationship where they thrive, okay? And it's not with that person, but they still get the relationship. So, what does it really matter in the end? You got the core essence of what you want. So, if the core essence of what you want, let's stay on the theme of science fiction, is to teleport, to collapse time, to go into the past, to go into the future, to experience true timelessness because time is a human construct and the only purpose that we have for time is to actually learn how to use it. And once you master it, it ceases to exist in your consciousness. You will still be in the world. You can still make, like, I'm going for dinner tonight, at 6 o'clock. I know I have to make a reservation for 6 o'clock, but it has no power over me, if that makes sense. So, case in point, you don't have to, was it Jeff Goldblum? Meet Jeff Goldblum, consult with him, ask him how they made that machine in The Fly, and he got turned into a fly. You don't have to build anything, like, because you said gadgets, surpass the need for a gadget. So let's suppose in this case it's like a time machine. You don't need to build a time machine. You can alter your consciousness to the effect that you surpass the need for time to apply to you, and you drift and go where you want at will. I'm not joking. I know it sounds, for some people who are not into the spiritual realm, think it's insane. But when I studied Tantra, my teacher was adamant that this was possible several times. And towards the end said, you will get so good at this. You will get so good at building your consciousness and strengthening your energy body and auric field that you can be in a cafe, in a public place, okay, having a beverage, drinking a cup of coffee, and your body is there in real time and people see you. Maybe you're holding a cup of coffee, spacing out or reading a book, but you will send your consciousness somewhere else and you will go and come back at will. Like, it doesn't happen to you. It's not demonic. It's not magic. It's the capacity of the human form. I've talked about this in a video about 2.5 years ago. I said astral projection, out of body experiences, people who call themselves psychic. I'm not saying it to like diminish the person's essence. And when I say it's not special, I don't mean that you're like favored by God. We're all favored by God. We're all God's children. We're created equally. But it's a simple function of your body. It's just that some people tune into the things that their body can do and some people don't. Okay? And they think looking outside of themselves, they think, wow, those people can do XYZ. But if you bother to discipline yourself, meditate, expand your awareness, just your awareness every morning for a few minutes, every night for a few minutes, your world will begin to change. You will change as a person. And then what you can do will be perceived, it will be demonstrated to you that it is possible. So that's just an example. Another gadget, let's say, okay, so we did time travel. Time travel, if you're within these circles, that's totally doable. So another one is I would recommend looking up, I forget his name now. It's called Reality Transurfing. I've talked about this a lot on my Patreon. If you're on there, you will know. He has an incredible way of explaining reality and how to manipulate reality to your advantage, I suppose, or the way that you would enjoy it most in a very scientific and like quantum sense. So, okay, so you want to manifest whatever, this thing from, a movie, and you're thinking, I have to bring this here, and you're going to use it for something. Just think about what it is that you want to use it for, and then allow your awareness to reach the essence of that experience, and you will experience it without the gadget. But if you want the gadget, you simply cannot have resistance to the gadget. The best example I can give you for this, and I have found it to be true in varying degrees in my own experience, okay? I haven't experienced it fully with all things, just some things, because people always think, if that person's so happy, why don't they have everything they want? Because you have different levels of resistance to different subjects in life. But this is it, and this is another thing that my studies with Eastern traditions has taught me. And it's true across the board, whether even in the Bible, you'll find these things. This is amazing. This is ancient knowledge. There's just nothing new under the sun, okay? Ancient mystery schools of Kemet, ancient Egypt had them. We find them in Babylon. We find them today. We find them everywhere. So when you're saying that you want something outside of yourself, it's as soon as you pinpoint what it is that you want, it sets its sights on you. But it can't draw close until you relax enough. And if you don't believe me, I think it's a televangelist. I'm not sure. He was like I don't know what he did. It was like a healing something. His name was Benny Hinn. I know he's really famous, but I've heard of his name for many years, but I just kind of like figured out what he really did. And he said that when he met his teacher, Catherine Coleman, he told her, like, I'm praying so hard. And she told him, you need to relax. And he said, that's very unspiritual. I can't relax. And she told him, you need to take a nap. You'll get God knows what you want. Like, stop pestering God. Go take a nap. Because it's not, after a while, you become so intense when you want something, it can't draw near to you, right? So if, let's say you want money so you could be happy, but you're anxious when you're praying about money, how can money find you when you're anxious? But you say you want it for your joy. That's not possible. You cannot serve two masters at once. You're either going to serve your nervousness or you're going to serve your happiness. So you have to pick one. So in this case, the example, the way that it was taught to me, and it made immediate sense when I experienced it. You see, another thing too is don't intellectualize too much. You have to get into your feeling space. It's a feeling game. This is a very interesting plane of existence where everything is seemingly physical, but you actually control it through your mood. So this is what it was explained as. You have to remove this like filter of bias, opinions. You have to basically, the starting point for learning is unlearning what you know and starting fresh with a blank slate. Your mind is a blank slate. It's been programmed since your birth, but it wasn't intended to be that way. It certainly, for most of us, was not programmed with the truth. It certainly wasn't. And so what happens is when you remove that from the inside, everything outside starts to come to you. I truly mean that. So the example that I learned it through was people say, they always want to find their ideal partner, and they go and they make these lists and they meditate and they pray and they, like, I like spiritual things, but I joke a little bit like, what are you going to do next? Like, hop on your left foot counterclockwise while you tap your nose and smack the top of your head, and you light a candle and you blow in the east direction, and you run to the west direction, and you like, just know what you want and relax. Okay, that's really all you need to do. But basically, people try so hard to attract the perfect partner, but what you actually do to get results, for some people that is a relaxing thing, that's why it works, but for most people they fixate too much. So what actually happens is, when you internally start to ask yourself, what does a perfect partner look like? Oh, how does that apply to me? And then you start to feel good about yourself, that you have some of these qualities and you can improve other things, and you start to focus on yourself, and you're on the leading edge of great change, and personal healing. You get so excited about your own state of existence and your own life, that basically you remove all that garbage and that gunk, that now your true essence shines, and that person just makes a beeline for you. They just book it when they see you, and they come up to you, they say hi, and you're like, oh my God, that's all I had to do was like love myself and chill out. But this applies for everything, including a gadget. So it seems as though it doesn't make sense, but I would recommend unlearn things. Why? Because when we're born here, we're mostly taught about limitation. As children, would you want the Sailor Moon glass? Money doesn't grow on trees, or you want that, oh, get da, 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 that costs money, this costs money, everything, nothing's free. And then you're like, oh my God, yeah, that's true. And because you believe it, you see more and more evidence of it, and it starts to feel true. So just because you see it on a TV show doesn't mean that it's impossible. Somebody had to have an idea about that at some point. It came out of nothing. So it must exist everywhere. And we know too, anything that we see today in terms of military might, technology, gadgetry in this regard, is, I'm not kidding, is about 200 to 300 years behind what is actually known to be true. Okay, like if humanity en masse was exposed to what the powers that be actually had in their arsenal, I think we would all have like a collective nervous breakdown. So this is why they like a little was like water feeder for hamsters. They just like let you like suckle, like just like suckle like little drops of knowledge every now and again, because they're afraid to like actually reveal the might of everything that is possible. So it just makes me laugh. But anyway, think of it that way. It is doable, and unlearn it, because you were taught that things were not possible, but they really are. And who's to say? And so I would say the more you kind of relax about it, the more real it feels, and then you will start to experience it. But you don't need to fixate particularly. So, I mean, there's something you could do as well, is to take your mind off of it completely. Abraham Hicks has a wonderful saying. Basically, a woman was asking them, I've mentioned this several times, so forgive me if you heard it before, but she was asking them when she's going to get her partner, she wants her mate, and they said to her, the thing that you want is almost never on the path of that thing. So if you want a husband or you want a wife, concentrate on how to accelerate your career, or your fitness plan, or the read 2 books a month, but take your mind off of that goal. Think about, pardon me, another good feeling goal. Basically, when you do that, you remove the resistance from that thing, because you can't serve two masters. You can't want something and believe you can't have it at the same time. And then when you focus on something else, like a hobby, or again, fitness challenge, reading books, cooking a new recipe, getting a dog, walking the dog, learning about caring for a dog, whatever, it takes your, and you relax. And so another phenomenon that people have said they experienced when sometimes Abraham Hicks does cruises. So they'll say, how come when I went on your cruise for 7 days, I came home, I got everything I wanted? And they say, because for 7 days, you just stop engaging with your daily life. Someone else makes your bed, someone else cooks your meals. And for 7 days, your only focus is fun. And you have so much fun that basically melts the resistance off of the things that you want. So when you go back to your regular life or old reality, that resistance isn't there. So now suddenly all these opportunities show up at your door. So I mean, it's a really good analogy, and I would recommend, that's why I probably read a lot, because I just like not engaging with reality. I think it sucks. So it just makes me happy, and that's why I'm happy, because I just pay attention to the things that I want to pay attention to. I'm incredibly selective. I mean, people will say, oh, like, that's why I love Netflix, there's no commercials. I choose what I get to watch. But that's not even good enough for me. I don't even like Netflix. I watch Netflix like twice a year, you know, once at Christmas because I'm usually sick, and then once when I'm extremely bored at an airport, you know? So be really picky. Treat yourself like the precious jewel that you are, and filter your consciousness. It's a strict discipline, but it has incredible results. And if you start to notice, you know, changes in your body first, like maybe your knees don't pop and your muscles don't creak or whatever, ache, you know, then you're on. Just keep going. You'll start to see improvement across the board. Maybe you'll have more energy. Maybe you'll find $10 in the ground, you know, and then before you know it, you're in possession of that gadget. But it's incremental, and I think that's important to acknowledge that. People want things to happen overnight, but the less you care that it happens overnight or not, the quicker it will actually happen. So I would also advise you not to care when it happens. Truly relax and make it a day by day thing, 10 minutes a day, just chill out as best as you can. And so I leave you with this. Bashar, who's channeled by Daryl Anka, a woman also came to one of his seminars. It's a recording, I think you find it on his channel. And she said, you know, like, I'm 31. When is my time going to happen? I haven't met the love of my life. I haven't been married. And he said, you know, when you're born, everything you're meant to experience is already lined up, but you do have free will. So he says, when you look around and say, where is that thing that I want? It actually, you cast so much anxiety and doubt that it delays that thing. So you're the only one pushing your timeline. So as you said, you know what? I've asked two other YouTubers. Well, hopefully it's the third one. The third time is the lucky charm. You have an answer. It's the only answer you'll ever need to manifest anything. It doesn't matter if it's a gadget. It doesn't matter if it's an experience. It doesn't matter if it's $100,000, $100,000 car, first class flight. I don't care what it is. You want to see a mermaid? Go see mermaids. I don't give a rip. You know what I mean? Like, anything is possible. Okay? So you have to allow that. You have to remove the debris from your inner mind and unlearn the things that you were told could not be done. And really start small, because it's playful. And once you turn it into a game, you get really excited about it, okay? So thank you so much for listening, and I will look forward to answering some more of your questions in the future. And for now, I'm going to go make a video on prayer, because I had a really cool experience, and I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, bye.